Rufus, Brent, and Meekus were like brothers to me. And when I say brother, I don't mean like an actual brother, but I mean it the way black people use it, which is more meaningful, I think. If there's anything that a horrible tragedy can teach us, it's that a male's model life is precious, precious commodity. Just because we have chiseled abs and stunning features, it doesn't mean that we can't too not die in a freak cheat codes accident. It's November 19th, 2015. Welcome to episode 72 of the Cheat Codes Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. We're super glad you're joining us, whether you're a long-time listener or checking us out for the first time. Thank you for being here. The next hour is us drinking a few beers and go over our favorite bits from the past week in video game, tech, and pop culture news. My name is Joe Erskine. I am your host, and we are coming to you from the Derek Zoolander Center for Kids Who Can't Read Good and want to learn how to do other good stuff, or stuff good too.
Oh, that was fucking terrible.
Whatever.
Fired.
I need to learn how to read, guys. Today I'm here with Cheat Codes producer and editor, Mr. Joe Blue Steel Arroyo.
Hi, I can read gooder than you.
Yeah. Cheat Codes contributor, Mr. Nick El Tigre Golish.
Rar.
And we're welcoming from North Hollywood stand-up comedian and video game enthusiast, Mr. Brian Magnum Rhoads.
Hey, all right.
Today on the show, we're going to derelict the balls of the following topics. Binding of Isaac caused a hell of a stir this past week in Santa Cruz, or Santa Ana, depending on where you are. A glitch turned into a conspiracy that turned into a big hunt for what's being called a new ending to the game. I never knew you needed a shovel to play a video game, guys. Remember when Fallout 4 stuff appeared on Pornhub? I obviously don't either.
What?
Yeah, but Bethesda got a bit of revenge when the game released. Stiff competition, huh? Yeah. Oh, man, that was
I wish
great.
the audience could see Brian's face.
Yeah, that was awesome. Are you still standing in line waiting for games to come out? Midnight releases and such? What keeps the physical copy so desired? Not to jump ahead, but being able to get trade value for digital copies would be cool, just not sure how it would work. For today's lightning round, will you Googleize the following bits? Ever wanted to play a game and exercise while doing Kegels? Now you can. You can play a breakout style game just by clenching. This is truly a magical age that we live in, gentlemen. And Nvidia's new promo for their Shield hardware was pretty neat, right? Was it real? Who knows? If you can play Street Fighter while strapped into a couch during a free fall, my hat's off to you, pal. Beer. It's really great. Am I right, you guys? We happen to think podcasting is pretty great too. And that being said, why not do them at the same time? So we are solving that problem. As part of this little project, we like to feature a craft beer while we do the show. We're enjoying some triple perfection to go with our equally perfect male model faces. The folks. Really? the folks at Ama Gang really know how to make a good Belgian-inspired ale. Also, we're not that good looking. At best, we could pull a Duchovny and be hand models. I managed to barely make it through that intro, guys.
Yeah.
Mr. Rhodes.
Forgive you.
Yeah. Welcome, sir. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you finding the time for us. Tell us a little about what's happening with stand-up and anything you got in the works project-wise.
Oh, well, thank you for having me, guys. First, I've been out here for about 2 years. I spend most of my time in Phoenix, so, I mean, I'm just starting to, acclimate to the culture change, really, especially in the stand-up scene, because it's a whole new game. Yeah, other than that, and just pretty much just working with my brother and writing a bunch of scripts. We're trying to find an animator right now to work on. We have a couple crazy ideas for shorts and whatnot, and just trying to hit that pilot season coming up, and trying to make some motherfucking money, dude.
Word. Break necks and stack checks. I like it. All right. Any can you share some details about the shorts, at least, or at least the animation stuff?
Just a lot of stuff my brother and I kicked back. The one that we're really trying to push forward is this one about a talking giraffe that escapes from the zoo and finds an idiot kid to try to help him use his dad's clothes to make a skies and whatnot. And so basically, I don't give away the ending, but he dies in a pool where Tommy Bahama stuff. So
I'm on board. I'm on board with this. Okay, that sounds great.
Yeah, so we're just at this point where we're trying to find an animator. We really got we got a bunch of scripts and stuff, and we've been working on them for a long time, but we just are not gifted with animation or whatnot, or any sort of doodling, whatever you want to call it. We are terrible.
Animators love it when you call it doodling, by the way.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're in the field of making friends.
Look, did you put out your Craigslist ad that says looking for professional doodleists?
You listed in the job description. Yeah.
Yeah, you must be able to doodle and take dick jokes. So
if the artist, if you do find one and he shows up with a trash bag full of like pencils and paint, dude, he's hired. Yeah, immediately.
if you bring a trash bag around me, I trust you. 'Cause you're a confident person. That's a confident man.
Wait, can you give me an example? You mentioned we need someone who can take a dick joke.
Yeah,
Now,
that was my favorite part.
give me an example of how I would take a dick joke.
Well, I mean, like, okay, there's like the typical response. There's the polite, like, ah ha ha. You know, like the yes, you are attempting funny, and I acknowledge that. Like I appreciate it. And then there's the person who actually enjoys it like way too much, and you're just like, whoa, down there, buddy. It's just my penis. And then there's the person who's just completely offended entirely whatsoever just because you mentioned genitalia.
And which doodleist are you guys looking for?
We're looking for the doodleist who just takes it and goes with it and like does the polite laugh because they I don't know, they like they have their stuff in a trash bag, so they need somewhere to go, you know.
Or it's like, fuck it, man, I don't care. Like you guys can write whatever you want. I just want to draw shit.
Yeah, we want someone like Danny Glover, dude, just to be like, I'm too old for this shit. Then, you know.
Where are you? You need like the work laugh, right? The guy who accepts his boss and just goes, "You're a funny guy." Sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, because I just recently told my coworkers that I do comedy, and I waited like a year to do it because there's nothing worse. Like, hey, you can use this in your skit, and it's the same thing of me calling, a creative person a doodler. You know, like saying I do skits. It's like,
I was just going to tell you to use that in your skits, but that's fine.
Fair.
Well, thank you, sir, again for being here. We appreciate it. All right, let's get down to brass tacks here, gentlemen, shall we?
Yes.
All right. So, Binding of Isaac has been out for a while. There's been multiple expansions, multiple births, if you will, of this game. It's a polite laugh. You can just polite laugh to it.
I smiled. I smiled. He gave you the I took a dick joke laugh.
Exactly. He totally did. Calm down, Brian. It's all right.
Show me a trash bag and you're on board.
Yeah. This past week ended up kind of being the weirdest kind of default or interactive non-video game experience that I've seen in a long time. Kotaku talked about and kind of like dialogued and journalized this whole weird story of how what was initially a glitch that kind of inspired the players to kind of assume that it was a conspiracy turned into a kind of weird Easter egg hunt in real life that culminated in Santa Cruz, I believe, which is where Ed McMillan, one of the main designer of Binding of Isaac, lives, where they were basically running around where they used to film, or they filmed the Lost Boys movie back in the day, basically digging holes trying to find something. There was a pile of coins and basically a statue based on one of the 7 deadly sins. If you know the game, then you know that greed is a character, and then one of the new modes, there's a boss you can fight called Ultra Greed, and it's spread this whole thing. You guys got to go read the article or watch some sort of commentary on it because it's almost too long and too complicated to explain.
It's one of those ridiculous things where I started reading it, and then I got sucked into it, and then I couldn't stop reading it, and then I wanted to stop reading it,
right.
And then towards the end, I felt so committed that I needed to know how it resolved. So it was because it was this ridiculous hunt. It went down many different avenues, and for the listeners who maybe missed this show or whatever, we had James Idd on the show before, who did trailers for McMillan and Team Meat and stuff. He did the trailers for Binding of Isaac.
Yeah, that's through Nicalis, though. I'm not sure that's a Team Meat joint, just for clarification.
Okay, fair enough.
Right.
Yeah, you win. But yeah, and we confronted him about Camdrome on the show as well, which was another weird ARG that popped up at PAX
2 years ago.
This creepy, bloody computer that spewed a bunch of like weird, disturbing images on it, and everybody started trying to decipher it. And this was really similar to that.
Yeah, I feel like there were definitely shadows of that for sure.
So Camdrome proven again.
Yeah.
On our side, we still believe it's Team Meat's behind it.
I think everybody does to some degree or not. You know what I mean? But for it reeked. It had the smell of Camdrome all over it for sure. I'm not sure if James was involved or not. We'll probably have to get him back on to ask him at some point. And he'll coyly deny it, or just not. A non-answer would probably be efficient. But
so how do we approach this topic.
If you follow Reddit at all and like kind of like how the users went down the rabbit hole of the whole number 109, then you're on the right track, and you probably have a good idea of what's about to happen here, or what unfolded in Santa Cruz and Santa Ana respectively. But I'll round table this really quickly, and this is how I'm going to do it. When was the last time you guys actually played a game that made you have like real life repercussions, like in a way that you kind of kept you interested and almost like, you know, questioning whether or not this actually might have some sort of I don't know, a mechanic that existed in the real world.
But the game affected my life?
Yeah.
Like EVE Online, he learned how to use Excel from EVE Online.
Sure, there you go. That's a perfect example.
Let's lose that.
Brian liked it.
Sure. You play much EVE Online?
I actually don't. But I respect game. Game respect game, dude.
I don't know. I wouldn't use EVE Online as one that changed. I guess it sort of changed my life. I guess because I played it a whole bunch.
Right, but is there a game that you can remember that you've played that kind of like had you looking at things differently in the real world, or kind of like asking weirder questions, or like wondering if there was something that you were doing that was actually like related to the game?
Did I learn how to live from video games or something? I feel like that's kind of what
Joe.
you're asking.
Why don't you go first and help Nick out a little bit?
Oh,
I don't know. Like,
sorry, Nick. I don't have a good example about one that affected me. I have like two, I guess, completely separate examples. The first is just geocaching in general, which is already an ARG, so it's not really.
It's a good bridge. I appreciate what you're saying. Yeah,
but like that was one thing. It was actually kind of cool because when I first moved here to Seattle, I didn't know anything. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what was cool, what wasn't cool, and blah blah blah. So it was kind of cool to open up something like an app, like a geocaching app that just says, here are these points on a GPS. Go here, because then I'm guaranteed to have some kind of discovery. I might end up at like the Juanita Beach Park in Kirkland, and then be like, oh, this is a thing, and I'll remember that now. And it's how I kind of discovered this city, which is weird because I'd never messed with geocache prior to this. So I thought that was really cool in terms of affecting my real life, being new to an area. And the second one is actually Metal Gear Solid, which doesn't go this far out, but it's more like, oh, I remember to put the controller in the other port. Or my favorite is when you're being tortured when you're in prison or whatever, not prison, but you're in a jail cell, and you get pulled out and you get tortured, and you have to mash the X button with your thumb, and the more times you do it, the harder it is, and you are actually in kind of some sort of physical pain thanks to arthritis because of Metal Gear Solid. That was the first time where I felt this connection between like what they're trying to do to me in the real world and what this game is. I don't know. That's my experience.
Brian, what about you?
I think the biggest life lesson I've ever learned came at the hands of Final Fantasy VII, because I had really tricked out Eris, and she had like all this bomb ass materia and whatnot, and she had her limit break, and I put like all this dope ass shit on her. Then she fucking dies, dude. And then I'm sorry, spoiler. But
we knew where this was going.
It was just like, no matter how hard you try, sometimes she just dies and you lose all your shit.
Well, it's not sometimes. She dies every time you play it. Just
right, but the lesson that he learns.
Oh, that's sometimes people die.
Yeah. No matter how bomb ass their materia might be.
Yeah.
Sometimes they die.
Wait, so your life lesson is you try not to trick out people, like you don't help friends because
they might die on you.
Well, I guess the lesson I learned is never trust anyone.
Unless they're holding a garbage bag.
They've been to rock bottom and they've seen what it is. And they're coming up. They're like Drake, dude. They started from the bottom and now they're here. Which, by the way, side note, I still have no fucking clue what Hotline Bling means, and no one will tell me. I
don't know either, dude.
Nobody knows, dude. It's just a video that everybody like. It's not even a video anymore. It's just a fucking meme. Like that's it. That's all it is.
I mean, I don't even care about like the dancing and whatnot. It's just one of those things. I just want to know what it means. It took me a while to figure out what skeet means. Like it's just I hate being the last person to find out. Oh, we're derailing.
It's fine. Look, tangential rants are encouraged to a certain degree, and I will follow. I'll tell you what. When we find out, we're calling you, dude, to keep you in the loop. All right.
I figured out what I learned from video games.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. We can finish the round robin. Go ahead.
I figured it's okay to walk into somebody else's house that I just met and look inside their fridge. Like,
good call.
Like
absolutely good call.
That is something I actually do. Like, I don't. That's not the first thing I do. So I was like,
the second
later
thing you
on, I'll open up the fridge. Like, oh, this guy likes Coca-Cola or something. It's like, and then I close it. I don't. It's very much from like, I guess, RPGs where you walk around and you just check everything.
Take stuff.
You click on everything.
Yeah.
You got to find all the hidden items and stuff. So you never know. This guy could have like a bunch of gold bars inside his fridge or something.
There could be a bomb ass materia.
Yeah.
Like waiting for you.
There's definitely materia
on
in
the
there.
second
Yeah.
shelf, right? I'm just just saying.
Middle drawer, bro.
most of the time, their fridges are disappointing though.
So let's try and aside from talking about games, right, that affected our real lives.
Yeah.
In this case, it's a little bit different because it's not necessarily the game itself that kind of affected all the players' lives. I feel like it more comes from a stigma with McMillan where people are expecting him always to do something silly like this.
And I agree.
Okay, so the moment they had an opportunity in game where there was a feature that was just missing, and people are like, well, if it's missing for a reason because it's McMillan and he must have a reason. So let's go start finding the reason, right?
Yep.
And that's what led people down this path. We're like, okay, let's start probing for questions. And when he caught on to the fact that even though this was just a glitch, the reason it was missing, and he was planning on patching it and calling it a day, when enough people were bugging him about it, he goes, okay, well, let's turn this into something, right? So he starts making these weird cryptic tweets where if you take the first letter from each word in the sentence, or if you analyze it a certain way, it'll say stuff like you're getting warmer or you're close. And then he actually would hide stuff around the city for real for people to find because they turned it into an ARG, but he just went along with the ride and was like, okay, I'll give you guys something to find. And I think that's fucking awesome.
It's fucking great.
To do that.
It's instead of like using a glitch as an opportunity to be like, oh fuck, I have to go back in and fix something. Like, let me turn this into a design feature effectively, and to take the game outside of the computer to the streets. You know what I mean? And go nuts. Like, and that's exactly what people did. I felt like he just poured gasoline on the fire that they started and let them go, which was great.
Brian, is there any game you can think of that if they took you on a hunt like this, you just go along for the ride and actually leave your house and stop playing the game?
Besides any Batman related game, like I don't know, man. Like when I got really into Call of Duty for a while. This is like, I probably stopped after the first Black Ops, but like I really got into Call of Duty, and then I saw things differently. I know it's not really necessarily what you're asking, but like I would be walking around and be like, yeah, I'd fucking shove a knife in that dude's throat and shoot that dude, and not like I'm gonna go actually do it, but I would like I'm walking normally but thinking like, oh, I'm gonna hide behind this fucking barrier and then I'm just gonna shoot the shit out of Linda, like
is Linda in HR?
Yeah, Linda, and I mean, takes her liberties. She was really high on herself, dude. Linda needs to knock down a peg,
I can commiserate to a certain degree. I think the first time I played like GTA, like after the reboot and like when Rockstar got its hands on it, like after like a 6-hour session, I walked out on the streets of New York and I was like, I can just jump in this car right now and just start fucking driving anywhere over, like, fuck red lights, like fuck pedestrians. I can just do whatever I want right now. You know
I
what
just
I mean?
Call in another vehicle.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's commit murder.
It's only a game. Yeah, exactly.
This is something I can honestly say that I've never felt from a video game. I guess like I've never felt like the video games compelled me to do anything. I guess is kind of what you guys are saying or something.
I don't think any of us have said that a game has compelled us to shoot Linda or commit murder.
I understand that, but the conversation could be
misconstrued.
And I'm going to take it that direction, I suppose. But
I'm just going to go on and misconstrue this.
Yeah,
I hope Linda's a real person.
I hope she's a real person.
I hope she's not, because we're in trouble.
Well, no, I say Linda, and I mean, obviously there's tons of Lindas, but the Linda that now that I'm thinking about it, she actually like brings fruit around for everyone. Like you get a little toothpick and get a little slice of pineapple. So Linda's actually cool in my book. But
Linda sounds delightful.
She's definitely the woman scorned in a Lifetime movie who perseveres in the.
Especially while dealing with people that think they're in video games and want to kill her, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
My last thing about this article I think impressed me the most is not just the idea, like ARGs are cool, the idea of people discovering one thing and then it taking you down into like the depths of the internet where other people are deciphering things and they take you out in the real world where you learn clues and all that. I think that's great. But what made it cooler in this scenario is that he was frequently patching the game
to reflect the
but only at each interval to which the community discovered the next breadcrumb. So it was like when they would find something in real life, suddenly he'd release a patch, and it was how everybody knew that they were on the right track, because then the game changed, and then there was something in the game that gave them the hint to the next thing that was different from the previous patch that then sent them on another hunt in real life.
The back and forth on this is epic.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
I haven't seen a game do that yet.
I think when you say like it's in the game, you can't say like, oh, they're playing the game again to learn it. They're data mining it in a way, and they're finding this information.
Well, that's how
exactly what happened.
Well, that's what happened with the
that's what I'm
previous
saying.
expansion.
They're data mining this information. It's not part of the game. It is other people looking into the game, and there's the
looking at source code and all that.
Not the source code necessarily, but like they're just data mining the game as the new patch comes out. They find some new like string of numbers or something, and they put it together and they find something from it. Like it's not actually the game that's doing it. It's just like the following of the game and people playing it. Yeah.
It takes a very devoted following.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For sure.
Have you guys ever done an escape room? Or one of those things where you're like trapped in a room for an hour and then you have to solve the puzzle to get out?
Yeah, no, never. Yeah,
I would highly recommend it, dude. I've done like 3 so far. Like there's one with a zombie and stuff. So it's kind of like, actually being in a video game.
Sure.
And it's fun as hell, dude. I mean, I would highly suggest it, but that's probably like the closest thing to actually being like a character where you have to figure out, some of them are lame, some of them are corny, but there was like this one where we went and it was supposed to be, there was a bomb in this guy's apartment and you had to go into the apartment and figure out all the clues and figure it out and basically stop the bomb. And it was great, but they had this guy who was an actor who was supposed to be like FBI, and he had like just like a windbreaker that had like hastily put like FBI letters just on it and stuff. He's like, all right, I'm gonna go secure the perimeter, and then we had a walkie-talkie so it'd keep like chiming in and whatnot. And so obviously you give a walkie-talkie to an asshole, you're gonna hear shit all day.
And that's the moral of the story.
If you give a walkie-talkie to an asshole, you're gonna hear shit all day.
No, I agree. I
like
so
it.
my problem with the real life thing is there's no pause button. But it sounds awesome. Like, but there is that kind of that weird fourth wall that gets broken. But at the same time, like you just talked about, the guy with the windbreaker and the hastily put on FBI letters, like kind of breaks the immersion, and you're kind of like, all right, well, fuck this guy. Whatever, let's just get to the room and figure out what we're doing.
It was awesome until like he would chime in and be like, hey, did you check the diary? And I'd be like, thanks, fuckface. I'm glad I paid money for you to chime in whenever you want.
Yeah, tell me where to look next. I feel really accomplished now. I'm gonna get to the end and I'm gonna hold the sign that says "We made it," and we're gonna feel great.
Thanks to Burt Macklin over there.
Burt Macklin, the FBI.
to be honest, I feel like the FBI would have more experience in this, and they would know to ask.
Oh, Nick Golish, bringing it back.
I just feel like they should know, like, oh, these commoners don't know how to check diaries. So I'm gonna make
check
sure
the
they
diary,
know.
dummies.
I mean, I got into it too. I got the walkie-talkie and I was like, oh, Blackhawk's here. I'm going in.
Going into the diary.
Red team, go! Yeah.
So I mean, if he was more like aggressive about it and like kind of like even shot a couple insults, that would have probably been better. But it was just kind of one of those things. Like eventually, like 40 minutes into it, he came into the room and he would just like do that like stepdad thing of like, what are we doing in here, chief?
Like doing the Danny Glover thing where it's like, I'm too old for this shit. Yeah.
No, I think it's more of the stepdad or just dad in general kind of thing, where they come into the room and they're like, you must like me, I'm gonna make a great joke.
That's what I do all the time.
I love a dad joke, but I mean, Deputy Dickhead was not.
Apologies to Deputy Dickhead. All right, everybody remember back in August when Gamescom was happening and people were all excited because this new game called Fallout 4 had been announced, and every little detail was getting gobbled up by the internet as much as possible. Lo and behold, some intrepid fan of the game who happened to be at Gamescom managed to sneak into the demo and grab some shaky cam footage, effectively, that ended up getting posted on, of all places, Pornhub, which is a website that none of us have ever been to.
Yeah, because no one will look there
under any circumstances.
I go there all the time
to see if there are new game trailers.
to see if there's new game
out.
trailers. Yeah, Fallout information.
Well, after August, it was an appropriate place to find game trailers. However, with the release of Fallout, Pornhub reported a very interesting development in that their traffic, a site that averages about 60 million unique users every day. I don't know who they are. Basically what happened is they saw a steep increase at midnight when the game was released, and then around 4 a.m. after the game had finished downloading and installing, because apparently it was a very slow process
And
to
patching.
do that, and patching and all that. Around 4 a.m. there was a dramatic decrease in their traffic.
Yeah,
So,
it's like, you start the download and then you're like, this isn't going to take long, and then it downloads and it goes, oh, by the way, there's a first day patch. Oh, fuck. So then you do the day one patch and you're waiting on that. Like, okay, what else am I going to do? If you're a diehard Fallout 4 fan, then you just jerk off to the loading screen.
right.
Otherwise, you switch
More
over
power
to
to you.
Pornhub and then you get back to business. So.
I think this is great. I think I love everything about this because not only has a weird porn site become a place to go see like hidden footage for a video game, but like even the comments section has become kind of like a weird left turn. Like they're not talking about the clip of the porn thing they're talking about Fallout 4, and they're like, hey, where do I find the fucking power armor in this part of town? And it becomes like a whole like a game thread you'd find on like NeoGAF or something. It's fucked up. It's weird, and it's fucking awesome in a really weird way.
I don't think I've watched a porn video where I haven't had to answer some Fallout questions in the past few weeks. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's ridiculous. I mean, obviously, it's one of those things that like these dudes think that they're helping out by like exposing some trailers, like like with the drone and like Star Wars, where they would have people fly over and you saw the Millennium Falcon and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Disappointing because obviously you want to be surprised, but I totally get why someone's like, oh, I'm totally helping out everyone. Like it's frustrating, and it's a stupid age that we just have to put up with, and it's
getting in the way of the porn theoretically.
right, because all we're trying to do is rub it raw, dude. You know what I'm saying?
it's definitely something I have to think about when I go online.
When you go online. There's always like the comment, and if you're interested, just go to Pornhub and look at any porn video at all, and
Not
start
that
scrolling.
we recommend it or would use that website.
No, it's still hilarious to go there and scroll down any comment section of any video at this point, because it has become this funny, stupid troll trend for like the first comment or second or something to just be like, can't wait for the new Mass Effect, or like, it just doesn't matter.
Right.
Andromeda.
What I found interesting about this is how that Pornhub knew that it was gamers specifically were causing the dip in their traffic. So what they said was that using Google Analytics, they had, quote, anonymized affinity stats that basically told them based on profile information or whatever data that they are collecting was giving them the heads up that like anybody who, plays games a lot was probably not using their website after 4 a.m. for a little while. There was a quote from Corey Price, a Pornhub vice president, saying, as huge fans of the game, we can't say we blame anyone for swapping Pornhub time for some Pip-Boy surfing instead. It sounds like he doesn't understand the game at all.
Yeah, don't worry about that.
He's like, we would have done the same. I like just the mental image knowing that like the people
hero.
that work at Pornhub use Pornhub. I think that's an amazing workplace image in my mind.
Like a giant office
Like
of people who are
farm.
just beating up.
Yeah, just
all the way down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's hilarious.
God.
Is it? Yeah, it's like a union break. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I got to go rub one out right now. Sorry, guys, I can't hang out for the staff meeting because I'm on union.
Well, at some point, I mean, like behind any product you ever make, right? If you don't like what you're creating, then I guess what's the point?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, if he hadn't said that the way he said it, I think I'd have less faith in that in the
just
product
feel
that I
like
don't use anyway. You know
when
what
you
I mean?
say something like not part of the product that you make or something, it doesn't, like, the vice president is not involved in the porn videos that are made that go on his site.
I didn't say that.
I know,
He's got to enjoy the medium.
You gotta enjoy it, of course.
I have a question. I have a question for Brian, because this is related to some information on the stats that I found interesting, and I don't have any idea. So, random conjecture from Mr. Brian Rhoads. But apparently, they were able to figure out that more sports gamers left at 3 a.m. on the Fallout release than RPG gamers. So why sports gamers? Why did they leave to play this game?
Oh my god, dude! You might as well ask me what the meaning of life is. Jesus Christ. I mean, first and foremost, I think it's hilarious that anyone's job is to record stats on Pornhub. I mean, like, I would
Agreed.
love that job to pull up specific statistics, like, oh, single guys who have 3 cats are watching toe fetish shit. You know, like,
I feel like those kind of stats make the fetishes better. Like, I don't know. Like,
honestly, 2015, you guys, open your minds, right? And like, I would love to just waste time with all of their databases and statistics, and I would love to find the most like ESPN quality shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, he's the first quarterback to throw 7 touchdown passes in 14 attempts, type of thing. Like, I would love to make ridiculous stats like that with Pornhub.
those sound like great stats.
That's kind of amazing. Like,
And eventually it's going to come down to where it's like historians are like, yes, I remember 2005 when they stopped using condoms. Totally on board with porn statistics, dude. I think it's
well, to me, I guess the bigger question is, how the hell did they differentiate their stats from sports gamers versus RPG game? How the fuck do they even know that?
It's easy. You search how many times you search as cheerleader, and that's obviously sport, bro. Then you go to like weird crappy shit. Like, I saw one where a dude was dressed up as a pterodactyl. That's an RPG player. It's an RPG. Tried and true.
The dude was a pterodactyl?
The dude was a pterodactyl. And
All right, before we offend all our listeners, let's move.
This is amazing.
I mean, although I genuinely am gonna look up pterodactyl porn after this because of curiosity,
But not on Pornhub, because we don't use that website.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Spankwire.
just remember, pterodactyl starts with a P.
Right, pterodactyl does start with a P. Thank you.
You clearly went to the Derek Zoolander school of kids who read good and want to do I don't even know what to do right now. My face hurts from laughing so hard right now. So that's cool. Good on you, Bethesda, for getting your revenge, I guess, on Pornhub.
Stay away from porn topics. Stay tuned for the lightning round.
Yeah, hang tight for whatever. Okay.
Oh, one last thing on this. I would love to be like that historian, to have that official title as like porn historian, so I could single people out and be like, Jeremy visited our website 3 times on Saturday. Saturday. Jeremy.
I like the fact that you give it like the announcer voice too, from SNL, where it's like, tonight on the show, like, you know. You gotta,
The first thing Brian would do if he was the stats guy at Pornhub was look up Linda, and then be next time she brings in pineapple, he'd be like, I know about you.
I know about you. Yeah, I wanted to make that joke earlier, but that was pretty good.
I swear to God, if she hears this and I have to like look her in the eyes tomorrow, it's gonna be hard, dude.
Careful with how you word that in the future.
Yeah. How much longer are we going to stand in line for video games? How much longer? When does it end? Does it have to end?
It's dead, bro. It's dead.
See, I think that just sums that up.
Yeah.
Pretty succinctly.
Case closed.
All right.
Next topic.
I think it's appropriate that Joe and I met working at GameStop.
Indeed.
Which
Oh,
is
boy.
hilarious. Were you assistant manager?
I was. Yeah, I was your fucking boss.
Yeah, I remember that.
I have a weird vision of him wearing a GameStop t-shirt with a name tag that says Linda on it.
I think this episode is going to be called Linda.
Yeah. We love you, Linda. Yeah.
I'm just gonna assume her identity, dude, and wear her skin, man. Pass out fruit at work. You know?
This poor woman.
She's so wonderful too. That's the thing.
I sincerely hope so, and I just want to apologize now.
You
to
threw
Linda.
it, we caught it, dude. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I mean, okay, you were saying we met at GameStop, so
Well, and I mean, I remember working a couple of the late night things, and they were hectic and stuff. But I mean, like, I just don't see. I mean, if I can just download it and not have to fucking move or go outside or see people.
My question becomes: I think everything. That's right. Everything's going to go digital. It's all going to be downloaded. But and this might spell the death knell for GameStop to a certain degree. But what GameStop offers to a lot of gamers, like myself, for instance, where it's like if I buy a brand new game and I beat it relatively quickly, I can trade it back in and get a bunch of money off the next game. How do you trade in a digital copy
You
and
don't.
get right? Yes, thank you, Nick.
You're
you
welcome.
don't. You don't trade in digital copies. You're absolutely right about that.
Yet,
And that's my question. Like, I'm not sure that the answer is like making downloadable keys for a game tradable or whatever. But how do you repair a physically based business model?
Well, this is I guess for me, I've never been a person that has bought a game and turned it in and looked forward to the money that I'm going to get back on that game to be able to buy the next new game that came out. When I buy a game, I usually take my time and I buy it because I know I'm going to love it, possibly, and then I play it and I keep it and I live with my decision, and then I buy the next game. I know for Joe, it's very different, and it's completely understandable lifestyle, I suppose, where you buy a game, you trade it in, and then you buy the next game or something. Like, you don't want to hold on to it, and that's fine also, I suppose, but which way's right, I suppose.
this is my complete economic structure.
Yeah.
And it's dwindling, and it's sad. There are two reasons why it's dwindling. The first is because in general the releases are going to go away and we're going to be replaced by digital copies, right? So for me, at some point I will no longer be able to pay some 30-60% ratio on the next game because I get to trade in the game I just finished or whatever. The second reason why that shit's dwindling, and it's really sad for me, is because DLC is such a huge thing. Every game that comes out now is just completely unfinished. It's like, we're not done. We're going to give you a patch in
Most games don't
day
even
one,
fucking
right?
work.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
It's like
Yeah.
here, day one patch, and then some new features in 6 months, and then completely different game than you ever played than when you bought it in a year. Like, Destiny was able to reinvent itself. I think this is a positive thing, not a negative thing. I sound like I'm ranting negatively because the fact that games can iterate and change and become better, the thing you already bought, is fucking phenomenal.
It makes it a more virtual product.
But it sucks for the guy who's like stuck in his. I guess I feel like the old fucking grandpa who's still flipping through the newspaper in the morning.
It's
like,
gotta.
I want to trade it in.
You got to ask yourself, like, Joe, when's the last time you bought a game for $60? Like,
yesterday, 2 days ago.
yeah, but did you trade anything else in?
No.
You didn't?
No.
Oh, I guess my point was mostly that most of the time you go in to trade in a game and you buy the next new game or something.
Right.
Yeah, there are a few examples, like you just mentioned Star Wars, and then Until Dawn you actually bought on the PlayStation online.
I downloaded
right?
that one, yeah.
Yeah, and before that maybe Destiny or something, the first one. I can't remember, but
Yeah.
there is only one at this point. But
First one is in first,
But
like right when it came out.
the release, yeah.
But you've been living mostly, I would say, on games that you've you trade in games and then you get like a new $60 game for $40 instead or something. Like, do those games feel like they're worth it? Like, would you not pay $60 for these games?
I'm not saying that. That's why I don't think it's that big of a deal that this kind of change is happening, because it's just weird. It's weird to adapt to a changing climate, and for me, that was my economic structure. It wasn't for everybody else, but so I have to deal with it more that these games are going digital than anything else. But do I want to fucking stand in line for a game? No.
Fuck no.
No.
Fuck midnight releases.
Well, you don't even have to anymore. I feel.
No, you don't. Unless you want swag and
how do
stuff
you-
for the day one edition.
How do you purchase games now, Brian?
I'm
Other
on
than
PS4.
Rocket League.
Oh, dude, Rocket League is
Fucking-
the
It's the tits, dude. It's the tits on biscuit wheels. Yeah, for sure.
fucking love it. For the most part, I'm obviously on top of those free games because I keep my stuff in a garbage bag.
You're hired. You're hired.
Yeah, and I've seen things. But mostly, I bought the last game I bought for full price. I bought Arkham Knight. But that's because I played the three previous games and I was all on board and I liked it and stuff. But realistically, there's not too many games that I'm like jumping at the bit to go buy right now. And so, it's a means of like, I have to know it's a game that I trust and whatnot. And like, I knew I was going to beat Batman 100%. I know when they make Final Fantasy VII, even if they just put shit, it's just a picture of a turd right there, I'm still going to buy it,
I think like all of us.
Yeah, I mean, that's most of the reason why I got a PS4 once they announced that they were releasing that, But for the most part, I wait to see what other people think. And I mean, I'll even go to Redbox if it's there and I'll try it out first before I buy it. But it's really rare to get me to buy anything in these days.
Can you remember maybe the last time you went to a midnight release of a video game?
Of a video game, the last time I went to a midnight release in general was for the Nintendo Wii because I had to get it for my mom wanted me to get it for I think my brother or my niece or something like that, but I didn't want her to go wait for it, so I went to go wait for it. But a video game midnight release, I would always just go to Walmart, dude, the day of.
You always go to those stores that aren't the video game stores, and they always have a copy of it. You never had to pre-order it anyways. But
yeah. So I can't even really tell you the last time I actually waited in line. It was probably when I was 19 or something, which is 9 years ago. Holy shit.
That was an amazing moment right there. It was an amazing moment.
Well, you think about that. I guess I was going to say, I'm exactly on board with you also. I can remember recently being really excited for a video game release. It was Pokemon, honestly. But
yeah,
one of the newer ones, I guess. But did I wait in line? Not really. They just kind of hand you a copy of the game, you go out, and nobody was waiting in line. It's just kind of, I don't know. It wasn't really that big of a deal.
This is indicative of kind of our experience in the last couple years going to gaming conventions.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that. We go to a lot of the gaming conventions like PAX or E3 and stuff like that. And it's getting to the point where you walk around, and I love the spectacle of it. I think it's really fun. And the parties are cool, and meeting people is great. But I cannot find a reason to stand in line for anything because I have this thing, and it's called fucking patience. And it's it's not a big deal to wait months. I don't even care. You played it before me. Why does that make you better than me? I don't give a shit. I'll play it when it comes out. You know how many games come out now every fucking week? There's always something to play.
Especially this time of year.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be the thing that's new. It can be the thing that I forgot to play 6 months ago. It doesn't matter to me anymore.
Not to start on another rant or anything, but based on what you just said, I completely agree because every time I hear about a game getting delayed, I'm almost hey, that's awesome because maybe it'll work when it launches. You know what I mean? Maybe they figured out why it's fucking broken and now it'll just fucking work. That's great. I think the last game I stood in line for a midnight release, Red Dead Redemption.
All right.
And I got the sweet fucking pack of cowboy playing cards. They look like they're fucking playing cards from an old saloon, which is the coolest thing ever. And I'm
that's legit.
As much as I love that game, that's almost I don't even use those cards. They're a collector's item now. As much as I was oh, I'm gonna play cards with these all the time, and then I started thinking about how I play cards, and I'm I drink a lot and stuff. These are just gonna get wet and sticky and gross.
Yeah, I think I got a Pokemon poster for buying both editions at the same time because I went with Chris Morris and I owed him some money, so I bought him the opposite edition that I had for Pokemon. And we both just threw the posters away. We're I don't give a shit about this. And
okay, so you remember when we were to GameStop, there were all these incentives, right, to get people into the door at midnight. I can't even remember any other than strategy guides. I actually do genuinely remember one time there was a Halo release, and I want to know, it might have been 2 or 3. It was one of the two where we did a competition night where everybody had to play against the employees of the store.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, and I was I loved Halo multiplayer at the time, and I beat everybody except for the last guy who came in and raped me. He just completely I didn't even kill him once. It was me against him there was the final match to determine whether or not he gets free shit against our store. And I got reamed, and after it was over, my manager looked at me and goes, I thought you were good at this game.
and that means you're now bad at your job. Yeah, effectively.
I hope you know that's when that dude became a white wizard when he beat you. You know what I'm saying? His transformation is complete, dude. He beat the GameStop guy, and you know that those forums heard it loud and clear that night.
That's the pinnacle of his life right there.
Even his pet snake had to endure that all night,
Yeah, it was the low point of my life, though. I'll tell you that.
It's really funny because I can remember distinctly the Halo 2 release also. because I was really into Halo back then. Also, like everybody, if you weren't, then you're silly. You're a silly person. But I went to this one store called CompUSA, and it didn't exist anywhere else except for where I was. I think they shut down like immediately after I went there or something. So I thought it was like a local store.
It's your fault. They went out of business.
I showed up to the store. This was like half an hour before I had to be at work, I think. And I was like, hey, do you guys got the Halo game? And they forgot that the Halo had released that day or something. They didn't even know the game was coming out. They're like, oh, yeah, we got some copies here. And it's like, here you go. They kind of just gave to me. But
They gave you more than one copy?
Right. It's like a deck.
Here's some copies.
It was really
Here's
odd.
the bridge hand that I made out of game cartridges. Here you go. Yeah.
It was really odd because I was just a fucking kid at this time. And they're like, didn't give a shit about Halo. Like I was like, Halo's the most important thing that's happening this day, and the store that I chose that isn't Best Buy like completely forgot to even put it out on the sales racks or anything. Oh yeah, we got to do that. That's like what
I wish you had haggled with them. Like, how about $20 for 3?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
I think the only way you solve this problem, as far as the digital versus like physical copy, is you do kind of the thing where if you buy a copy for $60, then you get like 2 share keys, which means you can share it with 2 other people or something. That's like my best solution. Like you're not necessarily giving like a value, but like you give a share key to somebody else. They have like a 20-hour or like a 1-day time limit to kind of play the game and fuck around with it.
That's incredible value. I feel like they would get for sharing that.
No, I agree, but it's not necessarily the same as a trade-in. But like publishers still make some money. And players still get some value out of it too.
Oh, yeah.
So.
And if they have downloadable content, that person that you just gave a free key to can spend money later to
exactly
buy more stuff.
That's exactly right. All right.
That's actually a really great idea.
Thanks.
He has them once in a while.
Once in a while.
Don't steal it.
Yeah.
I'm going to Linda with this, and we're going straight to the top, boys.
Yeah. Brian and Linda.
It's the least we can do for Linda at this point. Yeah, let's give her. All right. Lightning round time. For those who know and those who don't, this is how it works. We're going to take 2 quick topics this time and give people about a minute to chime in, uninterrupted for the most part. We will award points based on nothing in particular. Everyone usually gets a chance to chime in. I think today, because there's 4 of us, we'll all get a minute, yeah? We have 2 topics today for the sake of time. We're going to talk about the Kegel Boost app and peripheral that you can kickstart and help, see the light of day, or where the sun doesn't shine, depending on how you're using it, if you'd like. And if you think Kegel sounds familiar, you're not wrong. I just want everybody to keep that in mind.
It is essentially a pad that you sit on.
It looks like a wrist guard when you're using your mouse.
Explain how I would use this real quick.
You sit on it,
Okay.
right? And then it can detect your Kegel exercises.
But it's on my wrist, and I'm sitting.
No, it's not.
You said it was.
I just said it was like.
It looks like the wrist, like the gel. That but it's not. But you sit on it instead. Okay. When you flex your pelvic floor.
Your pelvic floor.
Yeah. When you do your Kegel exercises, it detects all of that stuff, and much like a Fitbit, it gamifies it, and it gives you awards based on how well you do that day. So if you're at work and a computer job where you sit all day, you might be able to break some records.
We're going to give our first minute to our guest, Mr. Brian Rhoads.
All right.
Talk to me for a minute about the Kegel Boost app and how you, I don't know, just your general thoughts on the subject.
And go.
Well, I would say that as of late, past couple of years, I started really getting into hockey, and every other sport is pretty boring to me. But now I love watching hockey because my butthole is puckered the entire time they're on the ice. And
good use of puck in that, by the way. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like if I had that pad and I just watched like 2 games back to back, I'm gonna set records. Like high scores. Triple-digit shit that no one's ever seen, like they're gonna be like, "Oh, Bobby Fischer's back." I mean, I'm on board with personal health and you doing you, So I mean, I'm all for this thing, man. I mean, butthole safety is just as important as driving safety.
That's
It's amazing how you said the exact thing I was thinking.
I'm gonna give you 2,000 points and 2 to accentuate doing a number 2, which comes through a butthole. But I want you to know that I think that was an excellent use of a minute. You're incorporating of another sport and just having no fear about how you would crush records is admirable, sir. Well done on your first lightning round topic. Mr. Arroyo, you have a minute to talk about the Kegel boost.
I also think this is a great idea because I think keeping your nether yaya in check is a good idea. It's really, prostate health. It's really important for men, and we need to keep an eye on that. And I don't know about you, but I do my Kegel exercises. In fact, awkwardly enough, I may do them throughout Cheat Codes episodes in order to keep everything like strong and tough and working. Because I heard that if you hold it for a long time, it can make it difficult to get an erection or even become aroused.
Liar, liar.
Thank you. So it is actually like really healthy to flex your pelvic floor. And I hope that all the men hearing this, everybody right now that's hearing this minute, is flexing right now. Okay,
that was like a joint flex. That was amazing. It was kind of like a spiritual moment. I'm going to give you 1,999 points.
Oh, fucking A.
Your lack of butt or dick jokes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was being real.
I know, but it was kind of disappointing.
All right.
We have a stand-up comedian on. I need to laugh.
Wait, we have a stand-up comedian on. There must be dick and fart jokes. Is that what you're?
No, I just at the risk of me being like, dance monkey dance, like make me laugh. Like I have to downplay the fact that you guys aren't making me laugh as much as he is. That's all.
Would you guys prefer Toni Morrison references? What's up?
I love the color purple. It's fine. Nick,
I don't even know what we're talking about.
I know you don't. But let's
Kegel.
You still got a minute to talk about
device that lets you know how good you're at it.
It's not a device. Kegel's maybe a device, but Kegels are kind of like
you definitely
thing.
Have no idea.
It's a lifestyle, but
it's a lifestyle.
I feel like these may be important. Yeah, but do they affect my video game prowess?
I don't know.
Do they help?
You can play games with Kegels.
Oh, can you though?
Yes, they made
a controller.
I'm not gonna.
Is it like rock? Is it like Rock Band where it kind of like flaps back and forth?
It's okay. Can you just start my minute here so I can answer his question?
Yeah, don't even award him points. Go.
Okay, so you can play the Kegel Boost app they've incorporated. I think they're still beta testing it, but it's like a breakout style game where there's a paddle and there's a bunch of bricks and you hit a ball up into the bricks. But the way you control the paddle is by doing Kegel clenches and Kegel. I'm not fucking even kidding.
It sounds.
There's a video on the article.
Amazing. I'm not bashing anything you say.
That's fine. All right. So here's why I think this is hilarious and awesome in the sense that like everybody that is on board and was interviewed in the article that I pulled this from is like super into the fact that this is a high calorie burning exercise. Like people are really excited about the fact that this is actually a viable way of like being sedentary and still working out. And I think they have the numbers to prove it, or at least to back up their statements. And I think that's hilarious because it's not necessarily the first thing I think of when I think of like fitness. You know what I mean? So good for them for just like owning it and getting on board with Kegels.
Brian, we forgot to mention that whenever the host goes, the guest gets to award them points.
All right. I'm going to give you a solid 37.
Sweet. I think that's the amount of Kegels that I actually just did while I was doing this episode.
That's what I was gonna say.
Because I was thinking about do I do a Kegel when I pinch off my stream? Do I do a Kegel when I'm pinching off a loaf? Like those are all Kegels, guys. I'm just saying.
They are every time you pinch
that's
it
how
off,
that works.
It's a Kegel.
Yeah. So
this entire time I've just been thinking of a balloon popping game that you just got to work them when you want to pop that bubble, dude.
That makes so much sense.
I feel like you just brought Nick around, like you just opened his mind.
Really, because I had an awkward moment where when we were describing pinching off a pee as being a Kegel, that I made awkward eye contact with Nick, and I'm pretty sure he was Kegling while I looked at him.
Last lightning round topic before we call it quits. I don't know if everybody saw it, but it's getting posted around the internet, and it's even been on whatever net streaming service you use that still has commercials. Nvidia their new ad features a very talented skydiver strapped to a couch, strapped to a living room, and plays video games for a very large segment of his freefall while being, shot out of the back of a, AC-130 or something. I don't even know. The questions that were rifling through their comment thread were whether it was real or not. I'm curious whether or not that matters and why this makes the Nvidia Shield a viable piece of hardware. Okay, Nick,
Let's just let Nick go
you
first.
get your first minute, or the first minute on this topic. Talk about it.
All right, myth busted. Wow. Cats can't use parachutes, but
You know that.
you know that for sure.
Go.
There was a video about it, and Nvidia released it, and they showed a cat using a parachute. And I'm not sure they have the appendages to actually release a parachute, at least at the proper altitude. But it was, it's obviously fake. If you've not seen some of the camera angles they used, it was kind of. You can't see that online, but it was me putting my arms back and forth like this.
It was good. It was good.
All right.
Okay. Yeah.
With your description, I could see it now.
I already said myth busted. I don't even know why you're still listening to me.
Fair enough.
Okay, so I guess
I'm gonna award you. I'm gonna award
It
you
was-
1,000 points for
it
your
was-
confidence in your answer.
It was a yes or no question. I feel like I answered it well.
I did. I award you 1,000 points for confidence in your answer. Mr. Royo,
Okay.
you got a minute.
I don't think the question is whether or not they used clever camera angles or if they even shot like half of the footage in another segment. Because I mean, anybody who's half intelligent would see that and know that they did that. There's no doubt about it. How did he switch discs? How did he change the game he was playing halfway through the fucking thing? Like, obviously he did that. The question is whether or not the stunt that they did, the part where they launch him out of the train plane.
The train?
The train.
Sure. The
Snakes
air
on a
train.
train. Shut up. Okay, so he was that part real or not? Okay, it's not. Obviously, the cat parachuting wasn't real. Obviously, the close-ups weren't real. There's no way they could get a cameraman there. We understand that part. Okay, that we're not dumb. Do I think the part where they actually did the stunt was real? Actually, probably not. Because at that point they've done like 90% of the work without it, so why even do the other 10%? I don't know. I guess I don't really see the fucking point. It was cool, but I don't think it was real. All right.
Did it make you want to buy an Nvidia Shield?
No, not at all.
Not important to this conversation.
Mr. Rhodes, bequeath us with a minute of your time talking about whether the Nvidia ad was real or not.
Well, I'm gonna go on a little tangent here. There's a commercial that I for some reason it's like a siren to me. It's like a siren song. I just can't help but look. It's that Mountain Dew Kickstart commercial where there's like two dudes in a basement on a couch and one of them cracks open a can, bro, and then all of a sudden this funky beat drops. And the one part of the commercial I don't get. It's kind of like a Harlem Shake thing. There's a guy in like a deep scuba thing dancing and whatnot, but there's this dog.
Oh, this is the best commercial ever.
There's this dog who has its front paws on its knees and it's shaking its ass. And I can't look away. It's not. Now, obviously, I don't feel like it's necessary to say, but I'm going to say it anyways. I do not find dogs attractive.
what the fuck?
Now, so
I'm ceding my
don't-
minute. Let him keep going. Keep going. I'm ceding my minute to you. Go ahead.
I'm super sorry, but like, and the way he dances, and the dog's looking back too at you, like, yeah, you want this, and it's like, no, I don't, and I don't, and it's not real. It's not. It's not real. But it got my attention. I guess so. They won. The terrorists won, you guys.
The terrorists,
You know,
are gonna make us buy Nvidia.
I saw that commercial last year during the football season, and I completely agree with everything you just
Yeah.
said. Yeah.
That's one sexy dog.
Ladies and gentlemen,
oh fuck!
having ceded my minute to our guest, Mr. Brian Rhoads, I'm going to award him 1,000,000 points for somehow equating a Little John dancing sexy dog to the Nvidia Shield promo. Has somehow wrapped this up in the sweetest, tastiest little bow that I could ever hope.
I'm proud of you, buddy.
Yeah, proud of you, big guy. Way to bring it.
Hey,
Way to pull out those I don't know, something from a trash bag. I just wanted to make another trash bag joke. I don't know. I think we did it, guys. Yeah, have we done it? Episode 72 in the bag. It's all Brian. Tell us one more time where people can come and check you. Stalk you on Twitter, and then do you have shows coming up or something like that that people in the Hollywood area can come and see you and do your when you do your comedies and tell your funnies.
For the most part, I'm a regular at a place called The Rack. It's in Woodland Hills, and that's if basically anyone in California is listening. I'm a regular there. I show up every once in a while, and it's always a good time, dude. You could check out. I mean, I'm not important.
Pretend like you are. It's fun.
Then yeah, if you want to hear about how excited I am to go eat tuna out of the can and trim my neck beard, you can follow me on Twitter at Brian Rhoads. You can hear all of my get-rich-quick schemes. So, yeah, check it out there. And I typically let people know what's up, where I'm at. And, yeah, you can hear more about my thoughts about that very sexy dog.
I hope that follows, immediately following this podcast. I hope you do a whole, string of sexy dog
Yeah, because I'm going to follow you, and I want to hear it. So
I really hope that, some group is just no. Dogs are not sexy, Brian. Like rallying again.
That's again for the listeners in case the Skype feed is breaking up a bit. It's at Brian C. Rhoads. That stands for Brian Can't Get Enough of Dogs Rhodes.
And there you have it. Thank you for being here, dear listener. Let us know what you think. Hit us up at chicospodcast.com. Hit us up on Facebook and Twitter and get in on the conversation. Spread the word. Tell all your friends. Stay tuned for a new episode coming next week. More guests coming soon. We need to get more Brian Rhoads is what we need to do. And until then, remember, the files are in your computer. It's so simple.
They're in the computer.
It's so simple. Brian, last thoughts? Go ahead, man. You get one last say real quick.
Yo, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving coming up. Be safe, be smart, and be respectful to the Native Americans. You guys, come on.